hello there, and welcome back.
Hello.
Backyard Bougie podcast, episode number 2. What do you say? It's pretty cool, huh?
Exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's been a fun week getting all of our information out there, trying to get a couple of shorts and some reels out there just to highlight some of our first episode. Hopefully you guys liked it. I know it was just kind of a pretty elementary and amateur, recording and video. But we're just out here having a good time, guys. We're not looking to, as we said in the first episode, we're not looking to make it big time. We're just sharing our relationships, sharing a little bit about who we are, and trying to have a little fun doing it. So, but as we like to do around here, we brought our beverages with us this time. And why don't you start out by telling the audience what you're drinking tonight?
This is just vodka and soda water.
Wonderful. Very nice.
Yummy, yummy.
Yes. And what vodka are you drinking tonight?
It's Kirkland.
Oh, the Kirkland vodka.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of mystery around the origin of the Kirkland vodka. Some say it's like a Belvedere. I don't believe it can be a Grey Goose based off of its origin. I think we learned that. But there's definitely a lot of mystery behind.
Yeah, it's super smooth.
It is pretty smooth for a vodka.
Yeah.
And it's relatively inexpensive. So that's nice.
Right. You get a lot for a decent price, which
Yeah.
is nice.
That's right. That's right. But for me over here, I'm drinking a nice little Maker's Manhattan on a rock. It's kind of my go-to cocktail. With my recent health journey, though, I can't have too many of these because try to stay away from the sweet vermouth. But about once or twice a month, I'll get a chance to treat myself and have a nice little Maker's Manhattan. So I thought to kick off episode 2, no better way than to maybe make today the day that I had a Maker's Manhattan. So, welcome back, everybody. We're glad to have you guys. Hopefully you guys had a chance to check out the first episode. If not, and this is your first time tuning in, we extend to you a big, big welcome. We're so glad you've taken some time out of your day, out of your life, whether you're driving on the road, maybe you just hanging out with the family and found us on YouTube, whatever that is. We just appreciate you guys spending some time with us. As we introduced in the last episode, we're just going to spend some time kind of sharing a little bit about Mrs. Gorgeous today. And we kind of stuck with this, interesting theme around shoes. And so Mrs. Gorgeous is going to introduce herself today, kind of using some shoes as some guides and get a chance to know her a little bit more. But along the way, as we're going through these introductions, both in episode 2 for Mrs. Gorgeous, and then I'll spend a little time in episode 3 introducing myself. We'd love to get to know you guys as our audience, as our listeners. Comment down below in the comments if you're listening to this on one of your favorite podcast channels. We'd love to hear from you, get a chance to know who's out there listening. All 4.5 of you now, because I think we doubled our listenership last week, which is pretty cool. I guess if we keep that up over the course of 10 years, right? We could be up to like 200. Yeah, it'd be kind of cool.
Why not?
But yeah, introduce yourselves. Let us get to know you a little bit. And as always, just so you guys know when the new episodes come out, we're trying to release these weekly. But just subscribe, whether that's on your YouTube channel. You can subscribe within your favorite podcast provider. We're on all the popular platforms now. So we've got Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We've got Amazon Music. Even iHeartRadio. I didn't know that they did podcasts, but apparently they do. And so our podcast distribution software puts it out there on all those podcast sites. So subscribe, make sure you get notified when a new episode gets released, and take some time to introduce yourself. We'd love to get to know you. And a little kind of tip coming up in just a couple of months. We're going to have some nicer weather outside. And we like to do some fun things here. We do some Friday wine downs at our house with just some friends. And we're also introducing this year some pretty cool wine dinners.
Yes.
Where we'll be featuring some local wineries and getting a chance to just break bread with friends as we've committed to in this podcast opportunity to build a relationship, enjoy some good food, enjoy some good drinks and some good wine. And we'll be doing that. But as part of that, we're looking to give away a couple of free couples dinners to some of our listeners out there. So if that's you, comment down below, comment in your favorite podcast provider. We see all of those, and we'd love to get to know you guys and maybe even have a chance to see you at one of our upcoming wine dinners.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd
be awesome.
A great way to meet you guys and do some real life together. Which
That's
would
right.
Be nice, just here having fun and nothing formal. Just come as you are and embrace us as we are and enjoy it over food and wine. I mean, why not?
What can go wrong?
I'm going to say nothing.
Nothing can go wrong. That's
Nothing
right.
can go wrong.
That's right. That's
No.
right. But with that said, today's podcast is titled Flip-Flops, Muck Boots, and Stilettos. I know y'all have been probably beyond intrigued this last week while you've been waiting to find out what does that all mean. And so, Mrs. Gorgeous, why don't you tell the listeners and the audience why flip-flops, muck boots, and stilettos describes you?
Because it's catchy. It's something that you'll remember.
Oh, good.
Hopefully. It's captivating because in different journeys of my life, I've wore different things, never thinking that I would wear certain things, and I have, and embrace it. It's all a part of who I am, and a lot of it I didn't know, and I love it. So, talking about stilettos, as a little girl, my mom never wore heels, but my grandmas did. And so every time I went over to their house, I would put them on, and I felt really super girly. And I would, play in the makeup with all the, clip-on earrings because my grandma didn't have her ears pierced and all. But no, just growing up in a very conservative home, it wasn't embraced, and I always kind of felt different. Just felt, lost in my body, particularly only because the clothes that was provided wasn't me. I was just girly, and everything that I would try to ask my parents, no fault of their own. It's just the way that they were raised as well. Just not being able to be girly. And when you can't be that way for so long, you kind of feel like it's wrong doing it.
Sure.
And so, but you've embraced the girly,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I've liked. And so, the stiletto part is dressing up and feeling girly, and you can feel girly any way that you want. But for me, when I dress up and I go out with you, or, going to just nice restaurants and stuff, I like to wear heels.
That's right.
That's not for everybody. It's just me. And that's why we're talking about it, is because I can also wear muck boots. I don't have to be in stilettos every day. I mean, I could. I wouldn't mind.
I'd like to see you gardening in some stilettos. That'd be kind of hot.
Hauling hay, running the tractor in stilettos. I did say, though, I wish my muck boots did come with heels because they do kind of feel manly. But if I'm wearing pink, I'm okay.
Yeah, I guess that works.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So the muck boots, you get dirty, and, never did I thought in growing up in Orange County that we would ever have a farm.
You city girl.
Yeah. And I love, the chickens. We have a donkey. We used to have 2.
Yeah.
And some sheep. And so not many, but there are, decorative yard art that is, fire preventative as well. But they're very personal. They're like, we engage with them. They engage with us anytime we're out there. We give them carrots. It's fun. But it also helps a lot with the acreage that we have to maintain. But
they're basically glorified lawnmowers, but they're fun. They
saves
are fun.
me hours of weed whacking.
That's right.
So yeah, I do it all. So there ain't nothing that I'm not going to put my hands in or get dirty with. But from a day's hard work out on the farm, I do like to dress up and come in and get girly in a dress and stilettos. And I'm so thankful, because even lipstick I couldn't wear as a kid. So that was really hard for me too. And even to this day, I have to try to remind myself of, that whole undertone of you can't wear red lipstick because,
who wears red.
Yeah. And so it's like, even when I put it on now. Sometimes I look to you and I'll be like, is this too much? And you're like, no, it looks good. And I was like, oh, okay, great. So I'm just trying to reverse what was ingrained.
Yeah, some of that teaching
wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And it can be for some people, but it just wasn't for me. And for so long, I'm trying to retrain my thinking of what does make me me. What do I feel comfortable in? I'm not trying to make other people feel comfortable. I just want to start feeling comfortable in my skin, because for so long, you know, you had to wear long shorts and that wasn't me, you know? So just trying to find, you know, comfort in my own body and feeling accepted is the one thing, you know. And flip-flops, everybody loves the beach. I'm wearing flip-flops now.
Yes.
Just something easy to throw on. Again, I've mentioned many times, I wish they made flip-flops with heels. So, you know, again,
You probably shouldn't have put that out there, because, you know, either ChatGPT or somebody is out there just stealing your concept, and now they've trademarked it and you can never make them.
But then I was thinking, you know, if they put heels on muck boots, you could aerate your grass.
All at the same time.
Yeah, we'd work. Yes.
Yeah, and clean up your donkey manure all at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think about that.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just something fun that I just did to label it flip-flops, muck boots, and stilettos, just because it's me. And I'm comfortable saying that. For so long it was, what does everybody else will accept me or try to accept me? And for so long it's like, I really don't care. You know, but that was not society norm or my home growing up norm of, you got to do what makes other people, you know, comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. I know as we were kind of preparing for this episode, one of the things that really stood out was being able to embrace your own identity and knowing who you are as a person. And, you know, relative to who you grew up with, it obviously frames your worldview. It frames the way you feel and think about certain things, but it doesn't have to define you long term. And I think that's the key that, you know, all of us, you know, take our journeys as kids growing up, even as adults, right? There's certain things we experience, or, you know, certain, you call it big T trauma or little T trauma, and it will define you at times. And I think really kind of this fun play on shoes, it's really been meant to just escape and have some freedom in the fact that you don't have to be defined by any of your experiences, but you can be defined by your greater purpose, right?
Right.
Your greater identity that, you know, hopefully, you know, you guys may or may not have caught on that, you know, we tend to have a belief in a higher God, and, you know, we would probably call ourselves Christ followers. We'll get into that in a future episode where we talk a lot about religion and spirituality. But your purpose and who you are and your identity doesn't have to be defined always by your experiences. They may shape you. They may form you. They may, you know, kind of give you some tendencies and maybe some things that you like or dislike. But the reality is that you are free to embrace your God-given purpose and your God-given identity. And, you know, for us, I know in the journey we've been on, and you've been kind of identifying this, you know, you call it this girly element to your life. That's been difficult for you, right? Because of your upbringing.
Yeah, it's been extremely difficult. And, you know, it's amazing. I run into some of my, you know, friends from junior high, and they're like, Christy, and it's like it's like different, and it's like almost, this is who I've always been. Like, I haven't changed. I'm still me. It's just I found me, and I'm comfortable in me, and that was really hard, you know, discovering that as a mom. It was hard.
That's right.
You know, and you're trying to do the right thing, but trying to change what's been ingrained that you feel is, you know, it's not you, you know, it just doesn't feel right, but you're so young that you don't have a voice really in that. Sure. You're not buying your own clothes at 10, you're not, you know, or 13 and 15, and just, you know, very complex. But to your point, I think it's really good that you say the shoe theme, because you don't have to be stuck there, and they change all the time.
That's right.
But so do you. Hopefully. I don't want to be the same person that you married 25 years ago. I want to constantly better myself. Not that shoes make you better. That's not the correlation I'm trying to get here. But like you say, you don't have to stay stuck or they don't have to define you. Well, when you go into a shoe store, I guarantee you're not trying on one pair.
Hopefully
you
not.
try on many. And you have different outfits, and sometimes you pair the shoe with the outfit. Sometimes you pair the shoe for the occasion. Sometimes it's sports. Sometimes it's, fine dining. Sometimes it's the beach. Yeah. There's many out there, and you never know what you feel comfortable in until you put it on.
Yeah.
And so it was just so long not having that available to me. And then putting it on and being like, oh my gosh, this feels so wrong, but so right at the same time.
Yeah.
It was just like this epiphany, and to be supportive on that and helping our girls too now. It's
important. That's right.
It's okay to be girly, and it's okay for other girls not to be. And that's totally fine too. Be who you are and embrace it. Who cares what people think? They're going to think what they're going to think anyway.
Yes.
But to have that freedom and that mindset of, no, this is who I am and I'm comfortable with it and it makes me feel good.
That's right.
Wearing I will. And I've had neighbors say, boy, don't you look hot trying on that tractor, doing yard work and whatnot. You wear makeup doing yard work? I wear makeup every day.
Yeah.
But it makes me feel good. It's
Sure.
my start of the day. Some people like a cup of coffee. I do too.
Yes, we do. We like our coffee.
But, some people have different rituals, and mine has just, when I had the freedom to be able to start wearing it, that's what I cling to. If that's the only thing that was girly that came out of my childhood, to be able to wear the makeup, not lipstick, it was always lip gloss. Can't put any color on there. And then finally got to play with the palette of different colors and stuff. Yeah, I wear makeup every day, but I don't care what anybody thinks because it's me. It's what makes me feel comfortable. If somebody chose not to wear makeup, don't wear makeup. Yeah. But just discovering myself has been a journey, and a beautiful one, hard one. It's tough trying to work out layers as why you think this way, or hey, that thought was kind of off. What brought that up? And if you dig deeper, you really understand that it really 9 out of 10 comes back from when your upbringing of what you've absorbed and learned as a child.
That's right.
With any relationship, it could be family, friends coming over, playing cards with your parents, and you're grasping on something, that a conversation or something that you heard that you cling to from somebody else outside of your parents. And it's just crazy how you just pull those back and how influential those matter.
That's right. Those moments, they truly leave a mark on children, right? They definitely impact the way that children think, both now and in the future. And, just kind of going back a little bit to what you talked about we've got, 2 daughters, right? Age almost 21, be 21 in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then our youngest is 10. And both of them are uniquely different in their own personalities, in the way that they embrace themselves, both from a, spiritual, physical, and emotional kind of state. Obviously, different levels, one being 21, one being 10. But we've, to the best of our ability, we haven't always gotten it right, but to the best of our ability, we've tried to help them find that identity that they can embrace. And and we'll go into this in a future episode. We've got some really cool stuff that we learned, through a doctor, a therapist, a doctor of psychology, and fantastic author. Has written a number of books, written a number of guides for parents on how to deal with the different stages and points in a child's growth, and how they think about sexuality, how they think about just their identity as boy and girl. I know that's like the topic of 2025. We're not here to go down that path, but really just talking about the developmental side of it, and knowing that, primarily driven off of your journey, we really wanted to make sure that for our girls, one, we were more educated and more equipped to help them in that process. but at the same time being open to the fact that when we were raising our oldest daughter, 10, 11 years ago, when she's, was the age of our now youngest, we had a different philosophy back then. We had a different concept behind how we help them embrace that identity. And now that they're, older, we're older. I'd like to think that we could say we're wiser, but, we're wiser nonetheless, I guess.
More experienced.
But also just students, right? Trying to figure out how do you help your kids in that pursuit of their identity, of their purpose, and really, truly, what do they want, right? In a way that's thoughtful of parental guidance, parental influence, but we're not trying to raise dependent children. We're trying to raise independent children
that are confident within themselves and
That's
feel
right.
good. Because when you feel good about yourself and you dress that way, you feel that way, and not only your mindset too, but it does affect your mindset. It definitely does. And I think, when you're out, the self-confidence coupled with that mindset of just, hey, I can conquer anything. Because
That's right.
You feel good about yourself. Not that, they have to feel good about themselves. They have bad days. That's where communication starts. That's where, we talk about it and everything. And not everything's hunky-dory. I'm not trying to, paint this picture of bliss and we got everything together.
Yeah, we don't.
It's a learning thing, but it's allowing them to communicate, but also feeling them like it's okay. Our two girls love to be girly, but they also like to just hang out in sweatpants too.
That's right.
And that's okay. So,
and they'll help with the farm. And our youngest daughter is probably the only one in the household who can catch the chickens.
She's the chicken whisperer.
She'll go out and, we've got, 24 to 30 chickens at any given time, and she can go scoop them all up. And, if you need to, get to one of them because they need to be, cleaned, or you need to do something, to help them out, she'll go and grab every one of these chickens. And not
She's
me.
good at it.
I will not go near a chicken. I'll cut the head of a rattlesnake off, but I won't go near a chicken. But she'll pick them all up in no problem at all. But that's just the balance, right? Of her at times embracing and really identifying in that kind of girly element, but also not afraid to, jump in and chase a chicken. She's also not afraid to, jump in and get her hands dirty outside when, we're, burning trees and, trying to clear brush from our property. Those are the things that we're trying to help them understand and help them embrace, and knowing that it's fluid, right? It doesn't always have to be the same. Hence the, 3 different shoes, the flip-flops, muck boots, and stilettos, right? It's not always one or the other. It can absolutely be a fluid thing that your identity doesn't have to be fixed. It can absolutely be something that changes. You can have an experience in life that just is like, hey, I really think that I like this, or this is something that is helping me, in my journey, or helping me in my life experiences, and getting to a place where that identity isn't stagnant, but it's constantly evolving and changing. And again, for us, it's all driven off of, what we believe to be our personal relationship with Christ. But in that pursuit, for all of us, whether you believe in Christ or not, that pursuit becomes one that hopefully you're anchored to some form of truth for yourself, whatever that truth may be. And it becomes really important. We're not here to be preachy people, but the idea is that at some point, all of our purpose, all of our identity, we have to anchor to some point of truth, regardless of what that is. And we just hope for everybody listening that your pursuit of truth, that your pursuit of your identity always remains at the top of your list of what you're aiming to accomplish. And
absolutely. And there's a lot of hurt out there too.
There's a ton
from different religious, institutions and people. Again, that was my majority of my issue, going very, conservative Christian school my whole life.
Yeah.
From well, not my whole life, but from preschool all the way up to 8th grade. And then, having to go into public high school for health matters of my mom. But it was an eye opener. But there was also a lot of stuff that led me onto my own reasoning because of the no's and can't, and with no one to give me my answers. Very confusing.
No explanation,
No
right?
explanation as to why the no. I would ask. Boy, did I ask. I still ask questions. That's just who I am, but that's how you learn.
It is.
But I've come to realize, though, love, and probably you guys too, there's a lot of people out there that like to ask the questions. They don't like to answer them.
Yeah, it's much more difficult.
I'm one that is like, okay, I might not have the answer, but let's figure this out together. Again, that's what we strive with our kids, with the open communication. Only because I had a good, transparent communication with my parents. But at times it was like, this is not the time or place that we talk about this. But there was never the time and place, not even at home. Well, we don't talk about that. Well, when can we? Because you said it wasn't the time and place here. Now we're here. But I think it was also them trying to deflect because they didn't have the answer.
Sure.
And they themselves didn't know or who to ask.
Or where to go to find it. Yeah.
And so just always, searching for answers, but also too being rejected by a lot and many, and because of that. But I don't regret that because that also formed me of who I am. No regret at all. There was moments where I thought, well, shoot, I have to go through this again. Right. Geez, how many times do I have to be beat up? But it's just one of those things that clarity and embracing who you are. I think there's nothing better that you can communicate to somebody about being confident in who you are and whose you are.
That's right.
And that is because it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. It really doesn't.
It doesn't. That's right. At the end of the day, not a thing that anybody else thinks matters.
No.
Yeah.
But how do you feel at the end of the day? Do you feel like you touched people around you that were placed in your path? Did you, speak life into your kids? Were you there to hear them on their bad day, their good day? It's like pick a rose and two thorns because, they can always find the bad in everything. I was like, okay, you can only tell me two negatives, but for every two negatives, you got to find one positive in your day.
That's right.
And so give me a rose and then give me two thorns. And then that's it. So it has to maximize. I don't need somebody, bickering on the playground and spending an hour on that conversation. So there is limits to it, but to your point, being stuck and stagnant, you don't want to do that. So you're ever changing. We don't ever want to be the same people that we were. We've been together now. We're going to be married for 25 years.
25 years.
I hope to God that I'm not the same woman that you said I do to 25 years ago.
That's
I always want to try to strive to be my best, do my best for you, for our family, for myself.
Yeah.
And that's where it all starts. And realizing that as I'm changing, you're changing too.
That's right.
And so there's a lot of waves. You're just riding the current. Our kids are changing. They're in different stages. We're in different stages. Right. Understanding that, but the beauty of knowing that no shoe defines me. No situation defines me.
That's right.
It's all a part of me. It's part of my bag of trail mix.
Oh, here comes the trail mix, folks.
It's all a part of the trail mix. And sometimes if our kids attack it, we're going to get nothing but nuts because they want the raisins and the sweet morsels of chocolate.
Yeah, I don't know if we can use the name of what they're called, but, those coated candy chips in the trail mix. Y'all know what we're talking about.
You don't know. And so, but if you can say, I've been a lot of places, you don't want to keep looking behind you. Your past does not define you, but it has created you to be the person you are now. If you allow it, you want to constantly grow. But like I tell the kids, when a bad situation happens, it's like driving a car. You're looking in the rearview mirror and you're looking in your side mirrors. But if I kept looking at my rearview mirror, I'd never be able to leave the parking lot. Yeah. I'd always be looking back, focused on my back. And if I don't want to be back there, but I do want to take those lessons because I'm allowing them to be lessons and not obstacles.
That's right.
Not crutches. I don't need crutches, and I don't want nothing to. I want to learn from that.
Yes.
What can I take away from this? How can I, learn something from it so I can either prepare myself to not have to go through that again or help somebody else through their, journey of which is similar. It's not going to be the same, but hey, it's a red flag type of thing. And if you take every stretching point that hurts, every trial, every situation, every negative, and you try to take the best of it, of a learning lesson. Well, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to live that again. I don't want any of the people that I love to have to go through that again. So what did I learn from it?
That's right.
And, take it as a positive and move forward in it. Just as much as you're not going to be in flip-flops all day, you're not going to be in your work boots all day, you're not going to be in stilettos all day. But
Dang
temporarily, you can put them on and reboot.
That's right.
Embrace
the opportunity, right? Embrace the moment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you just, you look at my past growing up very conservative and just having all these questions and not being able to be very girly, feeling lost and wanting to, almost screaming on the inside and no one getting it, was really hard. But now that I've put on the stilettos, I like the stilettos, I like dressing up, why not?
That's right.
Embrace me.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody, but it's out there.
It is.
Why not give it a try?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And if the shoe fits, you wear it.
You wear it. And I had a really good conversation with this older gal. And she had said, she's like, I donated all my dresses and stuff because, people just don't dress up anymore when they go out. And I looked at her and I said, well, that's a shame. I said, because I do. And she looked at me and she's like, what? She's like, you don't go to the restaurants and see people in jeans and shorts? And I said, yeah, I see that, but that's them. I was like, I still like going out and dressing up. When my honey comes home and tells me, babe, get ready, I'm going to take you out on a date, I know I'm going to get out stilettos and a dress and look good for my guy. And so it's like, well, why don't you? And she took a pause and she was like, well, you know what? That is absolutely true. Because I was like, I'm not there at the restaurant for them. I'm at the restaurant with my boo.
Yeah.
I want to look good for you. If I showed up in my, shorts and, tank top and flip-flops, maybe if we were going to a sports bar, eating peanuts and, outside tailgating it, that would be fine.
Sure.
But when you're telling me you're going to go out and you're going to take me out for a nice dinner, I would really love to just dress up for you. I'm not doing it for anybody else. I'm doing it for you and for myself because I want to feel good too.
Sure.
And so it's just one of those things reminding even the older generation of, well, we don't really go to those places anymore. And when I do, I don't find anybody else dressing up. Well, that doesn't stop me.
No, and it shouldn't, right?
No.
If that's something that you're comfortable with, if that's something that you enjoy doing, there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's just embracing who you are. It's creating for yourself, right? Mm-hmm. That confidence, like you spoke about earlier, and that confidence is really, it's important, right? It not only teaches you to be confident in yourself, but it allows you to embrace yourself, and something that, we'll talk about in some future episodes, but it also teaches you the self-love, right? To love yourself and how important that self-love really is. So,
well, and I think too, again, this could be for another episode, but, remembering where it started.
Yeah.
Like, for us 25 years ago, we were dating, we would talk about, going to Disneyland and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't in stilettos. I was in jeans and whatnot. But, again, you would dress up because it was an opportunity to go out and hang out. And I feel as though when couples, they go out and they, get bougie, for their dating life. But then when they get married and then they have kids and life happens and stresses from work, they forget to reinvest in what had it started in the first place. Like,
that's right.
Date your wife, date your husband,
yes.
Flirt with them, show your kids. That's the best prime example too, because then they know it's real. I'm not saying, foo-foo it, but we flirt in front of our kids. Sometimes they're so disgusted by it, but it still keeps the spark alive in us, knowing
that's
that we
right.
can still fuel each other's flame, especially when we've had a very stressful day, whether it be at home or you for work and stuff, and you come home, and why not flirt? Why not have that moment of reprieve of a different thought?
Yeah, that's right. And look, everybody needs that affirmation in life, and that's really important. And our kids will be grossed out by our flirting, but that's part of being a parent. Like that's the joys. Cause when they're screaming and crying or they're sick and they're puking or they're, arguing and fighting back and forth in the car and, who's sitting in the front seat, who's sitting in the back seat, who's sitting in the middle seat, whatever they're fighting about. Part of your parental right is to torture them with the flirting that you get to do with your husband or your wife, and take full advantage of it, because they're gonna continue to fight and argue and scream and yell at each other, and the reality is that we do that a lot. But one of the things that to me is really important about our kids seeing that is that they also know that mom and dad are in love. And that's really, really important, because, and again, not to sound all preachy here, but, when you think about just the foundation of marriage, it's meant to be an image that Christ left for his church, right? He said that my church is my bride. And if a husband and a wife are never in love with one another and never show that love, how are we modeling, especially if we're, claim to be Christ followers, how are we modeling that to our kids, to the world around us? And we don't stand out on the street corner and tell everybody that we're Christians. We don't have the John 3:16 signs up on our kids' baseball games or, soccer games. We try to live it with our life, right? We try to be the examples to others around us that maybe they don't know where we come from. Maybe they don't know what we anchor to for our source of truth or our source of purpose or our identity, but they know something. They know something's different. They know that, man, they seem like there's happiness there. There's joy there. Even, going back to what we talked about in the first episode with everything we went through with your mom and dad, and the amount of people who were just out of love and kindness reaching out and saying, hey, how are you guys? How's Christy doing? How's the kids doing? How's the family doing? And when we're like, man, we're doing really well. It's been phenomenal. It's been a great experience for our family. God's been so good to us. Our kids have just been, nothing but honored by the experience. They're just taken aback, and many don't understand it. And we don't understand it either, right? All we can do is chalk it up to, another blessing, right? Another opportunity for us to just be in that pure delight of that relationship that we have with what we believe to be, Christ. And in all of that, no matter what, and again, not to be, the coming across as the preachy people here, because we're not preachy kind of folks, but the reality is that the more we can model to our kids what healthy relationship, healthy marriage looks like, the better they're going to be, hopefully, in all of their relationships, right?
Absolutely.
Whether that be with their future husband or wife, whether that be with just their friends at school, whether that just be with even each other. We're still working on that part. You got any tips, let us know. Yeah, themselves, right? How do they love themselves and embrace themselves, right? And that becomes, all the more of the benefit of what we try to model. We don't get it right? We have to go to our kids all the time and be like, hey, Mom and Dad dropped the ball. We're sorry. Like, we messed up here. We missed the mark. And that's powerful too. That becomes
it shows
really
them
important.
The human side of things, that mom and dad don't have it all together. We don't claim to, never have. We told them, we're going to disappoint you. We're going to disappoint ourselves. Yep. We're going to say and do things just like you were, just older. And we're going to regret it. But you know what? When we realize that there's an error, we're going to apologize for it. And it helps them understand, wow, mom and dad aren't asking us to be perfect. They're just asking us to be true to ourselves.
That's right.
Because if you can be true to yourselves, then you can be true to other people. And that's when you start seeing, wow, okay, out of this situation, there was something I could have probably said better or differently, or, body language, all those things are contributor factors. And you just look at yourself and self-reflect and be like, well, in that conversation, I was a little harsh. Why was I? Okay, so I was frustrated, but that didn't give it a right for me to respond the way that I did to one of our kids or to you.
Yeah.
And so going back and just saying, hey, just that moment back there, I am so sorry for responding the way that I did. It was out of frustration, had nothing to do with you. I just happened to attack you with that, and I'm so sorry. And it helps our kids to realize, wow, mom and dad are human.
Yeah.
They're absolutely right. You know, I don't want to stand in this hierarchy of, you know, you listen to me, do as I say, not as I do.
That's right.
Oh,
That's right.
I hated that as a kid.
I hate that.
How about the one that is, you know, this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt
you.
you.
That's
right.
right.
Well, then why are you doing it in the first place?
Yeah, exactly.
I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah. So true. As parents, you get the full picture, right?
Yes.
You get the see behind the curtain of what it means to be a parent. But well, very cool. Well, it's been super exciting, and I think pretty cool to get a chance to just unpack this episode and kind of sharing with our audience and our listeners a little bit about you and kind of, you know, why you chose this theme of shoes. And obviously, as we've kind of tipped off in the last episode, I'll also be doing a similar kind of introduction in episode 3. But we're going to go with loafers, cowboy boots, and cleats. So you guys can probably start to imagine what that's going to look like and what that'll entail. But that'll be coming up in our next episode. Hopefully you guys have really enjoyed this one. We've enjoyed just kind of unpacking a little bit about Mrs. Gorgeous, as you know, you guys all learned is her nickname, and I get to call her. But we hope that you continue to listen in. Our goal and our intent is to try to drop an episode every week. We do have a couple of exciting episodes coming up after we get through some introductions, and then just talking a little bit about how we got to know each other and how we met. And then we're going to kind of dive into some kind of fun things and some, you know, maybe less serious topics here, but we'll have a little bit of fun doing it. Maybe even share with you guys some of our favorite food and drink in a couple of episodes.
Yeah.
That'll be fun to unpack. But in the meantime, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for subscribing. We really, truly appreciate you guys. By the way, episode 1 dropped, and we were, you know, again, not doing this for any notoriety or any recognition. And we were beyond blessed and thankful for every one of you that tuned in. Many of you saw the video. Many of you downloaded the podcasts and way exceeded our expectations. And we can't thank you enough for that. Give us some feedback, though. What do you enjoy? What can we continue to do? Whether, you know, you throw us on your commute to work, you know, whether you're out running the treadmill or you're running the trails, whether you just are, you know, using us to fall asleep to at night in the bed on YouTube, whatever it is. We'd love to hear from you guys. We'd love to hear any comments or suggestions you have. But in the meantime, we love you guys. Thanks for listening. And like we always say around here, stay bougie and stay real. Salud.
Salud.